Thank
Okay,
you.
fine. So I have started the recording. So I will just cover the rest of the concept in demand. I just don't want to waste the time. Okay. Uh, okay. Is my screen visible for you people?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So last class, again, we saw about demand, like what is the meaning of it and the factors influencing demand and law of demand, individual demand curve, individual demand schedule, market demand curve, market demand schedule, all those things. With the assumption, we saw the theories. So now the other concepts related to demand. Okay, so there are lots of things to learn from. So the next one is like causes of downward sloping demand curve. We know that the demand is a downward sloping curve. So what is the reason for it? Why is the demand curve is always a downward sloping curve? So that is what we are going to see today. So the very first thing is like the law of demand is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility. So what is diminishing marginal utility? Come on.
I think it's like there's a negative impact on the.
Yes.
Ma'am, when there is a continuing growth in the product, then in that case, the marginal utility with the growth is always going to decrease with time. So like that's what it is, I guess.
Okay. So actually, when you consume continuously or when you are using or when you are having a product more than enough, like you want less of it, and when you're making a continuous consumption, normally there will be a decline in your utility. So that is a concept. So that is one of the consumers' characteristics. That is like if you have something with you, he will be in need of less of it. So that desire or that characteristics of an individual will be making them to choose a commodity when the price is very low, and if it is very high, we are not going to get maximum satisfaction if we have more number of. So with that reason, when the prices are high, like we will not be demanding it. So that's the reason why the law of demand is a downward sloping curve, or we say that there is an inverse relationship. Why? Because people are having, like, normally they will have a diminishing marginal utility towards any commodity. So that is the reason why the law of the demand is a downward sloping curve. And the next one is like every commodity has consumers for it, like not a customer. There is a difference between consumers and customers. Okay, customer the one who is regularly buying it, or they are the regular customer. Like when they are buying it regularly, they become the customer. No, so it is a regular concept. Like when you are regularly going to a particular shop to buy it, then you become a customer of it. Like you are not a consumer. Consumer means it can be anyone who is coming and consuming on that particular day. So that difference is there. So every product will be having a consumer. Uh, for example, like no product which is being produced, we can say that there is no consumer for it. Every product, whether it is an inferior or superior, whatever might be, like we have different types of consumers, and there will be a consumer for all the products. So when the prices falls, new customers will be coming into, like new consumer will be coming into that market, or they will be purchasing that particular product. As a result, the demand increases. So it's not that that consumers or that customers are making a change, but there will be some new customers coming into the market when the price falls, and that will be leading to a increase in the demand of that particular product. So that is also the reason why there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Like as normally I used to say for tea and coffee, like if you are a consumer of coffee, but if you feel that the prices of the coffee increases, automatically you will be shifting towards the consumption of a tea. So likewise, because of the changes in the prices, like it will be inviting, all the products will be inviting new consumers to it. So what happens is the law works out. So always the law has this characteristics also. And then the third one is like when the price falls, it actually means that the real income, like there is a difference between money income and a real income. That also you please keep it in mind. Like money income is the like the face value of it. Like if you have an 100 rupees note, the face value is 100 rupees. Okay, so that is the money income. But the real income is different. Real income is like with this 100 rupees, what you can buy it at that particular point of time. Why? Because the prices differs. So like when the prices are very low, like you can get more commodity, and the same time, like when the prices are very high, you can get very less commodity of it. So the real income that matters, in fact. Like for example, every week, like if your family, your mom or dad is going for the vegetable markets, normally it will be like for a normal family, if they spend some 200 rupees, they can get some good vegetables for the complete 1 week. Okay, like per week only I'm saying. So 200 rupees, if you spend, you will get enough of vegetables to run a week for a family of 5 members. So this is the normal condition. So this is the real value or real income. But in some circumstances or in some cases, when the prices are very high, like recently, you might have seen that like onion prices went high, the tomato prices went high. So in that period, what happened? Like 1 kg of onion itself, it cost 200 rupees. So where to get the rest of the vegetables? So if you want to get the rest of the vegetables, you are spending 200 more rupees to get that. Normally, what you used to buy it, the same product, like if you wanted, you were spending more of amount. So the real income at that time, it was different. Why? Because there was a changes in the prices. So the prices were very high. So the purchasing power got reduced. And if the prices are very low, like you will be having a more purchasing power. So that is also reason why uh, the law of demand operates, or why the demand curve is a downward sloping curve. So when the prices falls, it means that actually the real income of the consumer has rise. So because he has to spend less on the consumption for the same commodity. And if the same thing, like the inversely happens, if the prices are very high, he has to spend more on. His real income is decreased. Why? Because he has to spend more on. So because of that, also the law of demand operates, which states the inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. And there is a substitution effect. Substitution effect, already I have explained a number of times. That is the tea and coffee relationship. So that is also there. So automatically, even without the changes in the consumption, or sorry, the price of a particular product, because there is a changes in the price of the substitute product, you will be demanding more. So that is also one of the reason why the demand curve is a downward sloping curve. And the majority of the consumer, they like if you take Indian economy and all, like the majority of the consumer, they fall under the low income group of people only. uh, they are the main people who determines this slope of the demand curve, which is the downward sloping curve. And again, like to put it in a simple word, like these are the people who consume the normal commodities in a society. So they play a very important role. This rich people are very minimum, like they will be at a very low percentage, who will be reacting differently to the economy. I have said no, if you take luxurious product like gold, diamond, all these things, like those are being bought by these people just to show that it is very luxurious, or to just to show that like they are wearing a very prestigious commodity or something like that. So it has some values, like prestigious values or luxurious values, due to which the rich people will be buying. And if the prices of these commodities, if they are going to come down, people will not be buying it. So because of that luxuriousness, or to just to show the prestigious their own prestige, like to show it at a high level, they are buying it. But they are not influencing the normal demand that is there in the economy. So the normal demand of an economy are being highly influenced by this low income people and the poor people only. So that's they actually react in this way only. So if the price is going to be high, they will be buying very less of it, and if the price is very less, they will be buying more of it. So as these people are influencing, again the demand curve of an economy is a downward sloping curve. And finally, a commodity has different usages. As normally, the very first class I said tomato when I was explaining. I think like the scarcity concept when I was explaining, I said tomato is an best example where your mother will be using it in her kitchen. So when the price is very low, she will buy more of it, and she will do different alternatives out of it, and she will try to preserve it for a longer time. Why? Because it is available at a cheaper rate. And the same concept, when it becomes a costlier one, she knows how to use it in a very economic way. So she will plan it in such a way that where it is most needed, only in that curry or in that place she will be using it, and other than that she will try to manage without it. So she knows both the things. Like she knows when it is available at a cheaper rate, she knows how to use it in a multiple way, and in the same way, like when it is very costly, she knows how to manage without that one also. So that is the concept of like a scarcity. Scarcity definition of economics, where I explained it. The same thing you can apply it here also. A commodity has a different uses. So when the prices increases, the people will demand more of it, and when the prices is less, sorry, the prices increases, they will have less of it, and if prices is low, they want more of it, and they will be consuming it. So this is also one of the characteristics. Okay, so these are the reasons why the demand curve is a downward sloping curve. And then comes to some exceptions to law of demand. So as I said, law of demand is not for all the commodity, and I have already said that it doesn't works for luxurious commodity. So that is there. So that luxurious commodity, we call it as a Veblen effect. Why? Because again, like Webland is an economist who has explained it, where he has stated that this law doesn't operate for the luxurious commodity. Why? Because again, like rich people, why they are buying it? Because it has that prestigious value. If that prestigious value is not going to be there, then they will not be buying it. So why they are buying diamond? Because it is a prestigious one. Why they are buying a platinum? Because it is a prestigious one. But to very clearly state, like there is I don't find sorry, again, I should not say I don't find. I cannot make a difference between actually a platinum and a silver. Okay, if a chain is being made out of platinum and silver, I cannot make a difference between these two. Both looks the same, but that can, again, like there is no much of differences actually. I don't know how many of you can make a difference, but that is the concept. Hello, please, ma, put it in silent mode. Please, while in class, see that you don't unmute yourself, it's disturbing. Like, don't talk. In fact, please be in a silent mode, because when I get a sound, I get irritated. In fact, please, yeah, don't disturb me in that sense. Okay. Um, Fine. So what I was, yeah. So there is no differences, but rich people will be buying platinum. Why? Because it has a prestigious value. It has a luxuriousness in it. So if the price is going to be high, they will be buying it. If the price is going to be low, they will not buy that one. Why? Because it lost its prestigious values, or it lost its luxuriousness. So they will not be going, and they will not be buying, and they will not be showing it to everyone. And why they are not buying silver? Because that it doesn't has that prestigious value. Silver even a poor can have it. Like it is for poor people. That is what that is how the products are meant like. So normally, like people, like the rich people, when the prices of these are increasing, they will be buying more. Why? Because they want to show their pride. And if the value is going to decline, they will not buy that. Why? Because it has lost its importance. So there, the law doesn't works out. So that is why we call that as an exception to law of demand, and that we call it as, like in economic terms, we call it as a Veblen effect. So Veblen effect is nothing but it describes that the luxurious commodities will not be having this law of demand, which states that when the price increases, people will demand less, and when the price declines, the people will be demanding more. That doesn't happen for the luxurious commodity. So that was explained by Veblen, and that's why it has been termed as a Veblen effect. The same concept as we are talking on luxurious commodity, the same thing happens for a inferior commodity also. So that is what has been explained by Giffen. The same thing only, but Giffen has taken an inferior commodity and he has tried to explain it, whereas Veblen has taken a luxurious commodity and he has explained it. So Giffen, what he says is that for inferior commodity also the same things happens. Okay, like inferior, like the commodity which is being bought by the poor people. The poor people, those who are there in the below poverty line or having a very low income, they buy these commodities. So normally, example like to give an example for these things, like we take matchboxes. We take, actually in those days, like we used to give an example of ragi and all as an inferior commodity. Why? Because poor people will be getting ragi, and they will be using ragi. They will be producing, like they will be doing ragi balls, and they will be consuming. They will not, they are not that much rich enough even to get the rice and cook it. So ragi was considered as an inferior commodity once, but now I cannot give that as an example. Why? Because now ragi is not an inferior commodity, whereas it has become a nutritional commodity, and nowadays rich people are buying it more compared to the poor people. So I cannot define that as an inferior commodity. But to give a very good example of inferior commodity, you can take some ration shop commodities. The commodities which is being provided in the ration shop, which can be termed as a normal commodity, like they are providing rice, dal only, but the quality wise they are inferior. That's why it is being given in a ration shop actually. So normally rich people will not go and buy that one. Only the poor people, they will be going and buying all these commodities from the ration shop. So that can be taken as an inferior commodity in modern world, like in today's world. And how Giffen is explaining is that, like when the prices of these inferior commodity, if it is going to be like less than that, like what is being offered, like right now, like you can see that it has been given for 25 rupees, 50 rupees, something like that. 5 kg of rice, 10 kg of rice will be given for very cheaper amount. If the prices is going to be lower than that, people will not buy that one itself. Like if it gets reduced, they will not buy that commodity itself. But what the people will be doing is, what the real income that they have earned from the reduced prices of these inferior commodity, that they will be using for the consumption of some other superior commodity than on that inferior commodity. So that is the explanation here. Like for example, I don't actually, seriously, none of us know like what is the prices in the ration shop. I too don't know. But we will take it as, for example, 5 kg of rice, it is being given for 25 rupees. Okay, so it means that 1 kg of rice is given for 5 rupees. If we take like this, they are buying 5 kg of rice from the ration shop. So that is needed for a to run a normal family means. If the price of these rice is being reduced to 2 rupees means, instead of spending that 25 and getting like 10 kg of rice or 12 kg of rice, what they will do it is the same 5 kg they will get it from the ration shop, but that excess of money that they are having it because of the reduction in the prices of the inferior commodity, that will be spent on some other commodity, some other quality product, some other product or commodity which will be providing some nutrition to them, and then they will be consuming that superior commodity. So here superior or inferior, it is not based on the commodity actually, but the nutrition that we are getting, or the product which is available in the ration shop and the product which is available in the normal shop, which will be having a little bit high quality in the commodity. So likewise they will be shifting, so they will not go for inferior commodity. When the prices of inferior commodity comes down, they will not go for more of inferior, but that amount will be spent on something else. So this is what been explained by Giffen. Again, here also you can see that the law of demand doesn't works. So that's why these 2 points is being called as an exception to law of demand. So other than these two concepts, like there are many other things, like there can be a fear of shortages of resources. So during the period of war, during like even right now, like last year during the initial period of the pandemic, like when they started the lockdown, we faced this one. Like people were having a fear that the government is announcing a lockdown for such a long time, so we will not be able to get the materials, and we will not be getting the resources what is needed to run a family. So we will go and we will buy it and we will dump it. Likewise, people started to dump the product from shops in their home. So that happened. So this is what like there will be a fear during these periods. There is going to be a war, then again there will be a fear that the commodities will not be. Why? Because the government will be concentrating on the war alone, and they will not be worried about how the goods and services can be supplied to the people. So likewise, like when there is a disturbance in the economy, the people will have a fear that the resources will not be available for them. So with that fear, they will go and try to dump it. So during that time, when the price is increasing, people will be demanding more only. They will not reduce their consumption. They will not reduce their demand. Why? Because they have the fear in their mind that at least now for this raised price we are getting the commodity, but after 1 or 2 weeks we will come to a situation where we will not be able to get the commodity. So that fear will be there in the minds people, sorry, the people's mind. So they will be not doing like they will not be following this law and all. So for them, rise in the price or lower prices, that will not happen. So this we have recently witnessed. So we can give that one as an example. And then comes the depreciation. So economy, like when it falls into the depreciation, depreciation is at a very low level where the economy comes to a static position. This is even worse than the recession period. That is like you can see that there will not be any purchasing power. That why no purchasing power? Because no employment, no income, so there will not be purchasing power. So even if anything is going to be offered at a very low level of price, people will not be in a position to get it. Why? Because they don't have the income at all. So this one also we have seen recently. So even when the government was about saying that like no, we are not there in the depression, or we are not in the place of recession and all, but we know that there were lots of people who were not having job. One thing is like they were not having job, like directly they were unemployed. Many people were unemployed, and in some other areas, like even the corporate sectors, MNCs, or even the education institute, the hospitals, whatever you take on, like all these things, like as there was a lockdown going on, you might have heard that people were given with 75 percentage of their salary or 60 percentage of their salaries and all. So due to which, like indirectly their income levels were very less, so they have to think over like what is more important, and they were spending on it. So a very budgetary way of working was going on recently. So during these time, like when there is no income for the family itself, or when the income is very low for the family, whatever might be the very lowest price the market is going to provide you, you are not in a position to buy it. So there also the law fails. So actually when the price is very low, the people has to demand more, but the law has failed here. Why? Because the people are not having a money in their hand to buy all these things. So depression is also one of the stage where the law will not be working on. And then comes the ignorance. Due to the ignorance of the people, sometimes it happens, so people will not be knowing like what is actually happening in the market, why there is a rise in the prices or why there is a fall in the prices. So they will be acting in a totally different way, or they will be cheated by the packages in the sense, uh, again, like we know, no, like when it is being packed properly and given in a hazy hall, like Almart, supermarkets, more market, anything like that, people go and blindly they will buy it and they will come. But when it is offered at a normal vegetable market, a day to day market that we are seeing in our day to day life, if something is being bought there and sold out, like we will be not ready to pay even 10 rupees to those commodity. But the actual fact is that the product which is bought in the local market, they will be very fresh. Why? Because it has been taken from the farm directly to the market, and it is being sold directly to us. Whereas all those things which are preserved in Almarts, all these supermarkets and all, they will be preserved by using some preservatives, which is not good for health. So we don't know all these things, and we will be blindly just to follow, will not do all those things. We are being cheated by all these things. So that ignorance also, in some cases, like we will not be following this law of demand and all. And then comes the speculation. Speculation actually is, it's an act through which, we are earning a profit. Okay. So the speculation, very good example is the investment on the stock markets. Okay, like if you can take any stock market. So the stock market operation is known as the speculation. Why? Because we do all these activities with the motive of getting a profit out of it. So that's why we call it as a speculation. And in these stock markets, you can see that when the price is increasing for a particular product or particular share or particular company, people will buy it. When the prices are declining, that time they will sell it and they will go. So the law is totally different for a stock market. It is not the same as for the commodity market. So there the law doesn't operate for all in all these places where the speculations are happening. There this law will not be operating. So these are the exceptions to law of demand. So yeah, along with this, like I just want to cover this one also. So those are why the demand curve is a downward sloping curve, and then we saw about the exceptions where normally the law of demand doesn't operate. And now here comes the shift in the demand curve and the movement along the demand curve. So there are two concepts actually which you have to identify, you should know in when you know about a demand. Okay, the movement along the demand curve means, like you can see here. So you have the price on the y axis and the quantity demanded on the x axis, and there is the downward sloping demand curve. Okay, so this downward sloping D curve is the demand curve. So this is what a movement in the demand curve. Like when there is a movement within this demand curve operating, that we call a movement in the demand curve. So this movement can be called as a contraction. Okay, here you can see contraction in demand or expansion in demand. So there can be two things. Contraction in demand means when the demand declines, we call it as a contraction in demand. When the demand increases, we call it as a expansion in the demand. So when the price of something like any commodity, okay, when the price of that commodity, if it is increasing. So when the price increases, we know that the demand will decline. So that decline in demand, like for example, if the price is the original price is 12 rupees, the demand that is made is 80 rupees, 80 of some particular unit. And when the price increases from 12 to 16 rupees, so our demand will be declining. So from 80, we will be demanding only 60 units of a commodity. So from 80, it is declining to 60. So this declining, we call it as a contraction. So contraction in demand. So there is a decline in the demand. The same thing, like if you take it as initially the price is 16, okay, you are making 60 as your demand. When the price declines to 12 rupees, if the 12 rupees, then the demand will be increasing from 60 to 80. So this increase, like from 60 to 80, that we will be calling it as an expansion in demand. So that is what is contraction and extension or expansion, anything like you can say. So here you can see this is contraction and this is extension or expansion of demand. So this is what we call it as a movement along the demand curve. So within the demand curve, the movement is operating. So here the price plays a very important role. So when the price changes along for the changes in the prices, how we are changing our demand, that determines whether we are contracting or we are expanding. And this normally in one term we call it as a movement in the demand curve. But there can be a shift in the demand curve also. Shift means here you can see. So initially D is the demand curve. Now the demand curve has shifted to D2. Okay. So if you see the price has not changed. The price is 12 rupees only. But because there is a shift in the demand curve itself, the quantity that demanded has increased. Okay. So if when the initial demand is D, 80 units is consumed. When the demand is increased to D2, 150 unit is being consumed. Whereas if you see the price has not changed at all. So this is what is called as a shift in the demand. So when this shift in demand will happen, the shift in demand will happen during these stages. Okay, like when there is a changes in the fashion. Okay, so without changes in the prices, just changes in the fashion and the like some new varieties is being introduced in the market. We will be preferring more of it and we will be changing, we will be demanding more. Or it can be like this shift is because of all other factors. So there can be an increase in the income itself. Okay, so the price is only 12 rupees, but as my income increases, what I will do is the same commodity I will be buying more. Okay, why? Because before that, when my income was less, I will be spending, I will be like I will be very choosy and I will be spending very limited. But now as my income has increased, I will be spending more. So because of that also the demand curve might have increased, or might be because of some substitution effect happening or complementary effect happening. All these things I have explained, you know. So because of that also the demand curve might have changed. So shift in demand happens when other factors that influences the demand is acting and the price is constant. Whereas movement in demand curve happens, other factors are constant, only the price changes. That is what we call it as a movement in the demand curve. So this one also you can understand it. So all these are demand concept. Okay. I will post all these things. I will post it in VTop or today evening. You can just go through it. So with this, I'm ending the class for the day.